Well, hi my friends. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. And yes, it's not July. It's August. It just wasn't gonna work out. No matter how much I tried. Everything I put together, it was so hot. I couldn't will myself to film, to do. So after I looked at the picture on the calendar, it worked out great, because that picture, I just couldn't get the colors right or something. It's a very pretty picture, but it just didn't speak to me. So look, better late than never. I thought, well, I'll just keep this project for July. And with the 2 new segments that I introduced, Jay's Skate, Rattle, and Roll, and Finish It or Just Forget It. I thought, you know what, Jay, take yourself some time. Hey, your friends understand. Well, how are you? I hope you're well. I hope you're blessed. I hope the weather is cooling down. I say that, but like tonight, we had a nice rain and it cooled down for a while, but now the humidity is back. I'm telling you, we got to make it through this. I am looking forward to cool weather. Now, here in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, it is time for our children to go back to school. So can you imagine all the moms and dads out trying to buy school supplies and school clothes and having to come up with that, but yet it's still so hot. You really don't want to buy too much because you don't know how hot it's going. This heat might last into October. Who knows? Kids can outgrow clothes between now and October and November. So I'm sure they're just like, I wouldn't know what to do. So, but they have this thing, television, one of the television stations has this wonderful thing they call Stuff the Bus. And they just have, I don't know how many buses, and people donate backpacks and all kind of school supplies for kids, for the underprivileged or homeless children, or children that are in the system that wouldn't otherwise get nice things, so that they don't have to go to school and, not have the things that the other children have. Isn't that beautiful? So they always do that. It's a great thing every year. And talking about going back to school, do you know it's a great time to check your local stores? They have the best deals this time of year. I always buy bath towels or replenish, get new bath towels this time of year, because we're surrounded with colleges, and they know that moms and dads are going to come in there and they're going to spend like crazy. I did it myself. So I know what I know what I'm talking about. I know how it works. They expect those moms and dads to come in and just buy all the things right there in the local stores to help, to set the kids up at the colleges, in the dorms, in the apartments, whatever it takes. I know when Damon went off to school, the first 3 years he had to go down in South Georgia to school. And so I went down, to set him up. The first year, my husband and I both took him down and took things, because he had to live in a dorm, and freshmen weren't allowed to have cars. And that worked. That was fine. The next year, of course, you can have an apartment on campus, off campus, whatever. Whatever they had a little system how you get an apartment. Well, he got a nice apartment on campus and everything. And by that year, we bought him a new car, and so he wanted a van so he could carry his stuff. He DJ'd a lot on campus and stuff, and so he can carry stuff back and forth, and also give kids who lived around here, when they would have time to come home, he could give people rides, in a van than just in a regular car. So, I went down and helped him, and I stayed almost a week. I was buying and charging and writing checks, and had my credit card and stocking his refrigerator, and you just want to think of everything that they're not going to think of. Make sure you had bathroom paper, paper towel. Make sure you had a plenty to church. You know, I bought a lot of stuff before I left that we took down. But you know how when you get there and once you see everything, you set things up. You think, oh, you know what, I need to stock the freezer. Oh, I need to get this and I need to do that, while he was busy signing up for classes and, you know, going around in the school. Well, after a few days, he looked at me and he said, are you ever going home? He says, look, how's it going to look me having my own apartment? He says, you's got to go. You got to just get up out of here and you's got to go. He threw his mommy out. So, that's a good little tip to remember. This time of year is just perfect to find some great deals. You know, just little things that you might need around the house or to give someone else. Or like I said, if you have kids or grandkids or nephews and nieces and uncles or whatever going off to school, this is the best time. So I might get out and do that, but really I don't need any yarn. I haven't bought anything. Like I said, I'm excited just to get this done, even though I missed July. I have it for August. And I thought, you know what? No matter how hot it is, I think you're going to enjoy this knit. This is Jay's Knit Honeysuckle and Lace summer sweater. And as I go through, you know, I'm going to take you to the counter and give you an overview. But it's a very nice knit. It's very comfortable, easy to wear. It goes up the back and down the front. It's just a fun knit, and you can just knit it in any color, which makes it nice. Of course, this is our regular number 4 weight acrylic, and we're going to use US number 9 needles. So a nice, comfortable, relaxed fit. I will give you a size chart help. I've worked all the formulas out. If you've been working with me, you know how I work from a formula. So it's just the way I taught myself. And of course, I enjoy sharing it with you because I know there's a lot of visual learners just like me that you'd rather have someone to just show me how to do it. If you show me, I think I can get it. You know, and that's how I taught myself. So I can't think of anything else. It's hot under these lights, but it's hot outside. But you know what? We're going to look cool and calm and collected in our new honeysuckle and lace sweater that we knit ourselves. What do you think of that? Well, so the last thing I do want to remind you, though, just to let you know, I am working on Jay's next friendship album. I received so many pictures. Oh my word. I am just thrilled. You know, faith without works is dead. But I'm telling you, the people that took time not only to build up their faith, but then just to do the work and just, it's just amazing. Because, you know, there's no reason for me to keep doing it if it's not getting through or someone is not at least, you know, able to understand or to follow me step by step. It just don't make sense to keep doing it. But when I received those pictures, I mean, I was just overwhelmed, and they are so pretty. So, my next friendship album will be out this month in just a week or so, and I found some pretty music, and each one I just want to thank each and every one for just giving my simple designs a try. You are all bright, shining stars. And I just want to let everyone see your beautiful work and to give you a heartfelt thank you. So, with that, and I can't think of anything else, didn't buy anything, I'm ready to go and share with you and you and you and you with everyone Jay's Knit Honeysuckle and Lace Summer Sweater. Just for you. So, let's get started. First of all, I'd like to give you an overview. I'd like to tell you where we're going or how we get to where we're going, okay? First of all, let me take this. This sweater is done in one piece. That's what I like about this one, because I was able to carry it back and forth to work or anywhere I needed to go, or to knit night or whatever. So this sweater is done in one piece. You will start here on, across the back. This is the whole back. Lace, a stockinette area, which is like the center portion of your back, and then the opposite lace that really, once it goes over your shoulders, and you, let's see which side can I show, and you make a side seam. Once it goes over your shoulder, and you sew it together, then it also becomes your arm hole or your arm space, and it's already done. You don't have to do anything, and you have lace on the back of your sleeve and on the front, and that's how how I designed it, because like I said, I wanted it in one piece. So taking an overview, we're going to start in the very back and work our way all the way up to the top of your shoulders. All right, so now once we do the back, then we'll go up to the top of the shoulders. That's where we will transition. Here's the top of the shoulders right there. Right here is where we'll make a transition. Let me see if I'm on. Yeah, let's see, can I maybe even pull it just a little bit so you can see. So there's the transition. Pull it down. Right across here. Alright, this transition, we will stay in the lace on each side because we're going to go over the shoulders, but we will separate a neck, and bind off a neck, and then we will go over each front, and each front will have, we will switch to garter stitch, where we're just going to knit every row. This is stockinette, knit on the front, purl on the back, and we will transition once we get to the top of the shoulders to stockinette, so that we have a nice border when we go over. So that is, stick my little flower there. This is Jay's Honeysuckle Lace Summer Sweater, and I'm going to show you the supplies, and then we'll talk about the yarn. And I think you're going to like this one. Like I said, I've made it in every time I change sizes. I've made this sweater. And you can too. Alright, back in just a minute. So here's some old yarn that I'm going to be working mine in Karen Simply Soft, but not in this color. But you're welcome to use whatever you want, depending on, where you're going to wear your sweater, how much you want to spend. Alright, and then this is just some plain old Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn. It's easy care, easy wear. If you're still working though, and if you really want something nice, then of course get nicer yarn. Alright. But if you're a novice knitter and you're just like, Jay, I'm just trying to learn. I'm just trying to understand. I'm doing really well, and I'm following you. So this is fine. Okay. And then of course all your smaller yarns that don't come in such a large skein, I would have at least 3, but this size yarn, the smaller yarn, when it comes in less, there's less yardage in the skein, you're going to need 4 or 5 depending on your size. When you get up into the X sizes, you're going to need 4 or 5 skeins of this, where this, you could probably do it in 3 skeins. Does that make sense? Because this has a lot more yardage. Alright, so now here is Premier Everyday. It has become one of my favorite yarns. It knits up beautiful. But you will need 4 or 5 skeins of it. So you catch it on sale. I've had this one, Red Heart. I don't know how many years I've had my Red Heart Soft. I just bought it up when it was on sale, thinking, oh gosh, I better buy it now. And I need to use this yarn. It's a really nice yarn. It's a little heavy. It just has more weight to it, but it's a nice yarn. And that's, if it's getting cool where you are, then you want a yarn that's going to be for a little cooler weather. And of course, Vanna. Vanna is a number 4, and they call for a size 9 needle. And guess what we're going to work this sweater in? Number 9. Let me just move all my yarn out of the way. For your needles, you're going to need, a circular 936. I'm trying to put it without the glare. You know, I use Clover needles. I'm not affiliated, nor do I get anything free, or I don't know these people. Look, I don't know these people. But I'm older, I'm a senior, and if you have problems with, I've said it over and over, if you've got arthritis in your arms, in your elbows, in your shoulder, the more weight you're working on, the more you're going to start feeling, and you're not going to feel good and not want to finish anything. They're lightweight, they're inexpensive, and if you have a Joann's or somewhere, or a lot of stores that might, or Hobby Lobby doesn't care, but you can use a coupon and get them even cheaper. So I don't understand. I just can't imagine. I don't have, my joints are fine, my fingers are not, and my knuckles and things are not all wonky and all thick and out of shape and all that from arthritis, because I don't use those heavy metal needles and some of that other stuff. But you can use anything you want. All I can do is tell you and share with you, and then it's up to you. But you will need a number 9 36-inch circular needle for the sweater, and then you're going to need, you can have 1 set or 2 sets depending on if you want to, when we get ready to separate for each front. Sometimes I like to go ahead and put both fronts on needles so I can switch back and forth, knit a little bit on this front, knit a little bit on the other front, and not have to wait till I completely finish one side before these needles are free. So I just got the short ones because I have a lot of them. So this is Clover number 9. So we're doing the whole sweater number 9. It should be something, if you have knit with me, you should already have these needles, because I always try to use what we have. That's the whole purpose of when I taught myself to knit. Alright, so now the next thing, like I said, I can't remember, and I can't go through all. I tried to look through some of my stitcher books, but you see how late I'm getting this video up. But anyway, I had my black and white, so I just cleaned it up because I'd written all over and it was all dirty. I had spilled coffee on it, so I just typed up a nice clean copy so I can, I'm gonna put this on the screen before we start actually knitting. You will get it, but I want to go over a little bit of. Let's see, I may have to take this. Let's see if I can see this without the big glare. Okay, now I'm not expecting you to read this. I'm just going to share with you what you will see on the screen when you see this. Alright, now a lot of you know I work from a formula. A formula is simply a line that I make, and then on that line I simply separate what I want, how I want the stitches to be knit on that line. It's a long line, it's a formula. And that's how I started teaching myself, because I wasn't into writing up patterns. I do not have written patterns, nor do I get permission to write my stuff up. I present it here on the YouTube for you to come and let me show you and share with you how I made the project. Because a lot of times I can tell you better than, I can show you better than I can sit down and write it out. Alright, on these formulas, I have given you, this is the same chart we've used before on our sweaters. This is a US number 9. Now this will not fit a US number 8. There's other numbers for that. My US number 9 is made for sweaters that I want to be nice, open in the front, and have a little more room because you have to wear it on top of something. A little t-shirt or a little blouse or a little tank top. It's made to be worn open. Does that make sense? Okay. So on my number 9, I give you some suggested sizes. Like for instance, like I said, I'm just sharing with you. You're going to see this on the screen. Alright, say a small. A small, I have 80 stitches. And the way I came up with this, real quick, I can't go back through everything, but if you are new, I will link several of my videos on how to find your numbers and all of that. But if you've worked with me, you know how we roll. But say for instance, on this, well for me, I was doing large. I've been hanging on to large 96 stitches. That means that I took time and I made a long swatch. And now I do it the shortcut way, where I go from one side of my waist to my belly button. And then I knit a few rows, and I think you can even count it on the needles. Now, if you have a nice long circular needle, I believe you can count and still come out okay. If not, you can pull it off the needle and sit there and count all the stitches. And say, for instance, from my waist, from either side of my waist to my belly button, say if I come up with 41 stitches. Okay, wow, 41, maybe 42 stitches. All right, that simply means on one side of my waist, on one side of the belly button, or, one side is, I have 42. Well, I'm going to have the same number on the other side of the belly button and waist, right? So if you add those up together, that's 84 or whatever, or 80, So what you want to do is make sure that it's on a number that's divisible by 4. Or if not, round it up to the next number divisible by 4. Therefore, all my numbers are very compatible so that I'm able to get in my lace and work anything that I need to, simply because they're compatible. So 80 stitches for a small, medium is 88. I went up 8 stitches. Now listen, this 80, 88, 96, all these numbers represent, say, the back of the sweater, where you get that same number for the front. So on 80 stitches, that's across the back, where I'm going to have 40 and 40 for the front. 40 for the left front, 40 for the right front. 40 and 40, 40 and 40 equals 80. I'm just doing a quick review. Okay. So, but everybody else is on board. You've been knitting with me a while. All right. So, for instance, I've been hanging on to 96, my large. I've been trying to say I've been a large ever since I came on YouTube. And when I did, I was a large. But people, ladies and gentlemen, after I did that white sweater, I got to let the large, I just got to say goodbye to size large. Jay's going to go on up to an official 1X. I'm not up to the 2X, but the 1X. And so my new number now, I'm moving from large, which 96 was my number. Okay, 96 across the back. So that meant my front was whatever divide 96 in half. 40-something on each side. Okay, now I'm up to 104. That's my new official size, 1X. That's across the back. And I tell you, on my formula, you'll see how I break down. And once we start knitting, then I just break it down to where the stitch markers go, how many border stitches you'll have, how many stitches you'll have in the center back, how many stitches you'll have for each lace section, and it just makes it easier. I'm just trying to save you time, because so many of you, you're already with me. So I'm just trying to save you time. But anyway, so this is what you'll see on the screen, and like I said, it's all done on the US number 9. So don't ask me, well, Jay, can I use a number 8? No. We'd have to recount the numbers for number 8, because that's a different gauge. Okay? All right. Once you cast on, then you are to decide on the bottom edge border. Now let me pull out my sample that I'm working in real time. Here's my sample. This is Karen Simply Soft, and I believe the name of this color is Bone. Karen Simply Soft, and this is Bone. It's like a pretty beige, just the beginning of fall. Not the deep color yet. But so we're starting here on the back edge, right down here. And of course I have to knit ahead so that I'll have, so that I can be ahead, so that I can, show you the next step. So let me just lay this out here for you for a minute so we can talk. So right here, the first thing after you cast on, because I've given you all the numbers and I've given you the numbers to cast on for your size. You try to fit into one of those sizes by counting how many stitches it takes. All right, So either knit 4 rows, but it's 4 rows still rolls a little bit. So like for my friend Lutz, I suggested she knit 6 rows. So you'd have a larger, so you'd knit instead of 4, you just go 4, 5, 6. And the 6 rows of just plain garter stitch, knitting every row, it is less likely to roll down here at the bottom. But I prefer 4 rows. So I have my 4 rows. And then once you do that, then we'll be on the right side of the fabric and we will be ready to put in our stitch markers. And I'll show you where the stitch markers will go. So have nice little simple stitch markers. Nothing really fancy that's going to get caught in this lace. And let's see, anything else. Have our stitch markers, and then of course we will start working our lace. I'm going to take you, as I normally do, row by row to show you how to do this nice lace. I think that's all I want to do to get us into it. I think I've covered everything. We got yarn. I've got the stitch. This is the color I'm going to be working in real time. And don't forget, when you're not knitting, put your point protectors on. Don't waste time and lose stitches. They're very inexpensive, people. I just keep a hold. You just put your little protectors on so you don't lose your stitches when you're not working. You do not want to have to lose this lace and go, oh man, what a mess I have, or fall asleep. So you put your little protectors on. Easy peasy. Knitting 101. Alright, so when I come back, the next thing you'll see on the screen is your copy of the front. Just giving you, well, it'll be this, giving you the J size chart. And like I said, this is just a suggestion. You've got to see where you fit into one of these as close as you can. But you just automatically, you know, we're rounded up, ready to go. I have the cast on number. Alright, and then of course, here on the second page is, I've typed out, after my old copy was so messed up, I just retyped everything so it's nice and clean, row by row of the lace. And I'm just calling this sweater Jay's Honeysuckle and Lace Summer Sweater, just to give it a cute name. And I just thought that was really nice. Alright, see you back in just a little bit. Alright, so you've had a chance to see the complete information sheet, 2 pages, not only the formulas that I, just some help, just trying to help you find a place to start, and hopefully you've cast on, you kind of pick a size. Remember, I am now working officially, I am now doing the 1X. So I had to cast on 104, and then I show you, you see each separation for your stitch marker. So that's where we are. That's you were to knit either 4 rows for the bottom edge or 6. If you just want your bottom edge to be a little thicker, not roll, lay flatter, then go up to 6. Just knit 6 rows. Alright, then the next right side row is where you should be. Now that's where you should be ready to start. Now I have to work ahead, so I'm up here, you're down here, and I'm up here, but I'm going to simply walk you through just by looking at my sample here. Let's see if I'm on. I raise the camera up, and now I can bring it in just a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to talk about just putting in our stitch markers as we knit across. You're down here at the bottom. You have finished the bottom border. Now you're going to knit across this whole row, putting in these stitch markers according to your individual formula, that I, worked out or gave you a suggestion. All right, on my formula, the first thing I have is a border of 3. So I'm knitting across. Now, you just knit. So I knit the first 3 stitches, and then I put a marker. And I suggest some simple small markers. Just something simple, because this is a long piece. So I have a marker there. And then the next thing on my 1X, 25 stitches, which is the lace. So I go ahead and knit over 25 stitches, go back and count, always count twice. So I've counted, I make sure I have that number of stitches. Then I place a marker right there. Now this represents the center back. And my center back for my 1X size and all the X sizes are, just see which everyone is different. I have 48 stitches. 48 stitches from this marker all the way across my center back. You see, we're just knitting. You're down here, and you're just knitting across, putting in markers. We hadn't started the lace yet. I get over here, and I completed my 48 stitches. I've counted twice. Always do your count twice. Put my marker. Then I should have 25 more stitches for the lace to match the opposite side, right? So I've done my 25 stitches, put my marker, and then my 3-stitch border on each side. Everyone has a 3-stitch border. Okay, now we need to get back. So once we do that, of course we're on the wrong side of the fabric. Well, nothing happens too much on the wrong side. So I need you to just, on your borders, you knit every row. These first 3 stitches and the last 3, you knit. Put your yarn in front and purl across all of the stitches on the back side. You can see this is the wrong side of the fabric. This is stockinette. Knit on the front, purl on the back. Across even the lace, you purl. So that brings us back to the front side again. Now we're ready to start the lace. And I'm going to make sure I get set up, and we're going to work together row by row. And work this really pretty little simple lace. Now, there's only 8 rows. Let's see, let me turn my paper. I've got my black and white. There are 8 rows, but really there are only 4 rows of pattern, because all the wrong side rows you just purl across, except for the borders. So I'm only going to have to work the front of each row. All right. And make sure that I have it on, and then we're going to look, and I'm going to read it out. I'm going to pull in, and I'm going to see how I raised my camera up, so I wanted to see. Let's just see if I need to just bring it up just a little more, so I don't have to turn. Okay, that looks good. And my hands are all right. I want to see the corner of that box. All right, here we go. This is row 1 of this pretty little lace. I am working on my US number 9 circular needles. I've got there. My length is 36, but whatever you can, hopefully you have that. All right. Now, row 1 on the right side of this sweater. You're down here. You're starting right here. I'm up here because I have to be ahead. All right, row 1 reads, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, do a yarn over. Okay. All right, so that's all we have to read for right now. It will be across the screen, and you can just follow it along. So I knit the 3 border stitches on every row. Slide the marker, and let's go again. Here we go. It says knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Okay, now knit 1 stitch, knit 2 stitches together. You may have to pull them down just a little bit since you're down here starting. Knit 2 stitches together. Okay, now do a yarn over. Alright, for all the smaller sizes you have 3 repeats. I cut back on the repeats to save you time. I'm telling you, when I was working on my original sweater, the green one, I just put so much lace in there, I just wore myself out. So you have only 3 repeats. The larger sizes, you have 4. So that's 1 repeat. So now the repeat of this, I have that yarn over. Hold on to it now. The repeat, look on the screen, it says knit 1. You have the little asterisk little thing. Shows you where the repeat. Knit 1. Yarn over. Slip, slip, knit. Knit 1. Knit 2 stitches together, yarn over, and repeat. Knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, reach back. Make sure you get up on all the strands. I did. Some of this yarn does split. Slip, slip, knit. There I go, right there. Alright. Now, knit 1 stitch. Knit 2 stitches together and do a yarn over at the end. Alright, let's keep repeating. Knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, reach back and put your needle in, knit. Alright, now knit 1 stitch, knit 2 stitches together, just like that, yarn over, and if you look on the screen it says repeat until you run out of stitches, and then it says end with knit 1. I have 1 stitch left, and that's what you should have. Knit 1. Now slide the marker, and guess what? I put this in to just give you some time to just relax your mind, so you're not just doing a whole back of the sweater in all lace. And you're going to knit across to the opposite marker. Now, see, since you've been with me a while, I don't have to do a lot of this now. So now I will continue to, or you will continue to knit across, and I have to too. You would knit across to this marker. And guess what? You start in the same place on row 1. So you read the pattern and work it just like we just worked on the opposite side. Knit 1, still on the screen, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, yarn over, and then do the repeat. When you get to the last marker, slide the marker and knit the 3 border stitches. Does that make sense? See? We're on a roll now. Alright, then you'll turn the work, and of course the border stitches you knit, and then you purl all the way back. I will meet you at row 3. As I work across, see if we can go a little faster now. I will see you at row 3, again on the right side. Okay, remember, you're down here. It's not magic that I'm this far. I've been working. You're down here. Alright, back in a minute. Alright, so I'm back, and we are on row 3, on the front side of the sweater again. Like I say, you're still down here. You're setting in your first rows, but I think it will go pretty quick, because of this nice area in the center back, so that you're not just wearing yourself out. Alright, row 3 reads knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, knit 1, yarn over, and we are to repeat. So here we go again, working my formula line. Everyone has their own line. Of course, the first 3 stitches I knit, that is the border, first and last 3 stitches. I put a different marker so you can see it. Slide the marker, alright, Now it's on the screen. It says knit 1 stitch. So I knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. Now I'm going to slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back, and this is the most important thing. Reach back and pull that slip stitch over. If not, on the next right side row you'll have an extra stitch. So slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back and pass that slip stitch over. Now knit 1 stitch and then yarn over. Alright, on row 3 the repeat is still on the screen. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 stitches together. There you go, a little tight because it's humid. Now reach back and pass that slip stitch over, just like that. Alright, knit 1 stitch and yarn over. Alright, row 3, continue. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. That's why you can almost memorize the rows as you work them. Now slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back and pass that slip stitch over, okay, knit 1 and yarn over. Alright, continue on. Knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, like that, reach back and pass that slip stitch over, knit 1, yarn over, and repeat to the end. You should have 1 stitch at the end, knit 1. And guess what? I'm back to my center back. It's kind of like you're like, oh, I made it back to home base. So that's why I took some of the lace out and put a little more in the back. Because once we go to the shoulders, it's going to look really pretty. Once we get up to the shoulders. You're still at the bottom. That was row 3. Now look. Now you will continue across, and when you get to the opposite side, just like before, you have to start again. Reading row 3 and working row 3. Knit 1, yarn over, and the same all the way, and then of course the last 3 stitches knit. Then you'll have to purl back. I will see you on row 5. See, it's so nice now, the ones who have been knitting with me, so you understand how to work my little board, how I work my formula, how we're knitting and just knitting across. So just take your time, and like I said, if you get interrupted before you start, check and see. If you look real close, you can see if you pass that slip stitch over. On this row, I have, let's see, I have 1, 2, you can actually see them, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you don't have, or whatever number, however many repeats you're supposed to have. So I know that I have it, otherwise you will get an extra stitch on the next right side row. Just good practice. Alright, I will see you on row 5. Okay, now we're rolling. Alright, I've purled back, so now I'm on the front again, front of the sweater. You're still down here, but you're making progress. Oh, I like to cheer you on. Okay, row 5. Row 5, right side, it reads, knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, then slip, slip, knit, and repeat. So let's start row 5. Now don't you like that little rest in the center? It gives you time to reset, or in case you have to run and take the casserole out or take the stuff out of them and put it in the dryer, your clothes. You're not in the middle of a long row of lace and you come back and go, oh gosh, I forgot where I was. Because at least if you can make it to the rest part, the center back, then you'll know where you are. All right, it's on the screen, row 5. Make sure I have it here. Oh, and another thing too, whatever your lace number, whether it's 19 or 25, this lace, you'll notice it does not change every row, like some, you know how sometimes we do a lace. So you can always check that number. I have 25 stitches. Some may have, I think some had 19. Yeah. So you know that you can always count your stitches if you're not sure, to make sure, you know, if you feel like something's off. But these stitches, the stitch count does not change on the row. It stays the same. So that helps. All right, row 5 reads, knit 1. All right, then you're going to knit 2 stitches together. Then yarn over. Knit 1. Yarn over. And then slip, slip, and reach back and knit it. Just like that. All right, let's go on across. Repeat. Knit 1. Knit 2 stitches together. Yarn over. Knit 1. Yarn over. Slip, slip, knit. Knit 1. Knit 2 stitches together. Yarn over. Knit 1. Yarn over, and then do a slip, slip, knit. Get a little more yarn, and for me, let's see, knit 1. Knit 2 stitches together. Okay, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Now, and you should have 1 stitch left. Just knit that last stitch, slide the marker. I made it to home base again. Yay! Give yourself a pat on the back. And we didn't have any slip stitch over on this row. We had knit 2 stitches together. So that was a little different. So I'm just going to work across, just like you. And of course I'm going to repeat row 5 on the opposite side of the sweater. Just like that. Alright, so you will continue across with row 5. Row 6 is the wrong side, so you knit your borders, but you purl all the other stitches back. And I will meet you on row 7. It's the last, pattern row. So I will see you at row 7. Now, take your time and be careful with all these yarn overs, though. Especially when you're purling back. Don't get to going so fast and you just drop a purl stitch. Back in just a little bit. Alright, I'm back, and we are up to row 7, the last actual pattern row. And we're going to work row 7, and once we get to the center back, we'll stop and talk for a minute so I can tell you, give you a little information. So, but row 7, let's go ahead and read it first. Knit 2 stitches together. Alright, then there's a knit 1, yarn over, and do it again. You do it 2 times. Knit 1, yarn over. Then you move to the knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back and pass the slip stitch over. And you just keep repeating. But at the end, I'm going to go ahead and say it and just remind you, at the end, read all the way to the end. When you get to the end, instead of that slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, you're going to replace it with a slip, slip, knit. You can see it on the screen. But first we're going to start out and we're going to knit row 7 of our pattern. So first I have to knit my 3 little border stitches. Everyone has 3 stitches for your border. Slide the marker. Now row 7 says I'm going to knit 2 stitches together. Then I do the knit 1, yarn over. Now do it again. It's in parentheses. Knit 1, yarn over. Now I go to knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back, now pass that slip stitch over. And you have to kind of tug to kind of tighten things up if you need to. Now we need to repeat, but now watch where the little asterisk, where it tells you where to repeat. It starts at knit 1, yarn over. Again, knit 1, yarn over. Then you go to the next knit 1. Oops, slipped out. Then it's slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back and pass that slip stitch over. Alright. See, can I move my stitches up? Let's do the repeat again. It's knit 1, yarn over. Knit 1, yarn over. And then knit 1, slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, reach back and pass that slip stitch over. Okay, then you have your repeat again. Knit 1, yarn over. Knit 1, yarn over. Knit 1. Now instead of the slip 1, knit 2 stitches together, pass the slip stitch over, you'll notice you only have 2 stitches left, so you simply do a slip, slip, knit. It's so funny, every time I would do row 7, I'd come to that, I'd always think, oh my gosh, I've lost a stitch. Every time. I don't know what was wrong with my brain. So that's why I'm giving you the heads up. There will be only 2 stitches left, and it's a slip, slip, knit. Alright, so now I've worked across the back to the other side because I have to do row 7 all on the opposite side. Let me get a little yarn. Now let's just sit here. Let me just kind of lay this here for a second. So you'd go across and continue just like you did working. You just finished your rows down here, your first repeat, but you do have to purl back for row 8. So let's talk. So I'd finish this row and then purl back to row 8, and then you're ready to start what? Row 1 again. And then you'll just keep working. Now, what you want to do is to work rows 1 through 8 as long as you want, up to from your waist, or right above your hips, wherever you want it, to the top, or to the to the top of your shoulders. So you just keep working rows 1 through 8, just back and forth, taking your time. And once you get get the back as long as you want. And I said 20, but I really want to start, I meant to stop at 18. So for me, say if I did 18 up, and stop on a nice even number. Just stop on a nice even number. I keep working my lace and I see that I'm right about 18. I want you to work 1 through 8, but when you get to the top of the shoulder and the neck area, I want you to stop on row 8. I do not want you to work row 8. I want us to meet back at row 8. It will be a wrong side. It will be the purl side, and that's where we're going to make the transition to put in our shoulders and the front border and our neck. So you have a lot of work to do. You're just going to work back and forth rows 1 through 8 to the length you want for your back. Work it all the way. When you get to the last row number 8, stop. Don't work row 8. That's where I want to meet up with you, and then we'll go from there. What do you think? Can you do it? Oh, it's going to be so pretty. And like I said, since I took some of the lace out, it's just going to free you up a little bit, and you won't feel so tired and it's hot and you go, oh Lord, Jay. So I just took some of the lace out, and so that you could work a little faster, and it just won't wear you out. But just take your time, read the pattern, each row. I've worked each row for you, and just like I said, you can always count the stitches, because this stitch count does not change. You can do it. I'm cheering you on. And I have to work a little bit more on this because I do want to get up to the neck so I can actually demonstrate it. And I didn't want to waste time on a little sample. I thought, well, even if I don't finish this all the way, you know, I can put this up in a bag and we can always finish it or forget it on another project, on another video. All right, I will see you back at row 8 at the top of the shoulders. Yay! You're doing a great job. Keep going. All right, I've given you some time. You've been working, and I've been working on mine, but I want to come back right now and touch bases with you before you go too far. Okay, when I left, you were to work your back piece, or work, your sweater, from the waist to the top of your shoulders, however many inches you think will look good on you. Old habits are hard to die. On this green one, I did 20 inches. Well, 20 inches. And then by the time we're going to add the neck, it's a little too long for me, but that's fine. So the next one, I'm only doing 18 because, Jay has shrunk. I'm older now. And I don't need 20 inches anymore for my back. So, but you are to work however many inches and just make it a nice even number, people. Like 20, 22, 24, 26, just something like that. All right. And then you were to stop on row 8. Row 8 is the wrong side of the fabric. Row 8 was the wrong side of the fabric, and this is where I was going to come back and show you the next step. And I think it's just a lot easier if I just walk you through this section. All right, so now we're on row 8 on the wrong side. Right? Everybody together? Okay. Now, you're going to work row 8 of the lace. From this point on, you're going to work the lace just like each row on this side and this side. Because once we bind out the neck, it will be 2 separate fronts. But on row 8, you are to purl across the lace, right? Right. Then when you come to the center, you slide the marker. But instead of purling, I want you to put your yarn in back and knit across this row. All these stitches that represent the center back. This is on this row 8 on the wrong side. We are going to knit across, which will start us making our garter stitches. Garter stitches is when you just knit on every row and you'll get these little ridges. Remember? We've done it before. And then of course on this side of the lace, you just purl off just like you, and just, of course, you have borders. You just purl off and turn the work. All right. And of course, when you turn the work, you're back on the right side. Now, when you're back on the right side, what do? You start over with the lace. You start row 1, work row 1, you come to the center and you just knit. Now we're knitting every row across the center. Then you get to this side of the lace and you'll work row 1. Let's see, am I on camera? A little bit. Let me back out a little bit. I didn't know it was that close. There we go. We'll work row 1, okay? And then, of course, you'll turn the work again. And every time you turn the work on the purl side, you will simply knit this center section. But stay in pattern row by row on each lace front. You will work all the way till you come to row 8 again. Everyone, this is how easy this is. I've made it so easy. You don't have to figure out, well, how many of these ridges. From this point, work it back and forth till you come to row 8, the last row again, and stop. That's going to be, you'll be on the wrong side. And this is when I will share with you, and we will work the neck bind off and actually separate the 2 fronts. So this is when you will need a set or 2 sets, if you want to go ahead and put both of them on, of your whatever straight number 9 needles you have. I'm using clover bamboo. So from the point you're at now, you work back and forth all the way through the lace again until you come to row 8. I will see you back at row 8 again. Do not work row 8. Wait for me there. See how easy this is going to be? Okay. All right, I'm going back and work mine, and I'll see you at the next row 8. Okay, so I've worked to get up to this point. You were supposed to continue working the pattern until we come to row 8 again. Row 8 is on the wrong side, but before I turn to the wrong side, this is what you should have on the right side. You should have your garter stitch stitches here in the center. That meant you knit on every row. You stayed in pattern in the lace. You just did row 1, row 2, row 3, just stayed in pattern. All right. Now, row 8 is the wrong side. So this is the row we're on now. You were supposed to meet me at row 8, but I did not want you to work it so that we can set in our neck. And I can show you how simple, we're going to make this. All right. I hear a few crickets, I'm telling you. Okay, so I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing here. All right, so now, listen, I've already did the math for the neck. First thing I need you to do, no matter what's on the on our instructions, actually count your stitches from this marker to where across the center back. Count all those stitches to this marker. We need to know exactly how many stitches you have. And if you maybe lost one or whatever, picked up one, anyway, find out how many you stitch. I happen to have the correct number. I was supposed to have 48, and I have 48. Now, for size small, medium, and large, sizes small, medium, and large, you might want to put this on a little piece of scrap paper like I've got here, just a little piece of paper and a pen. All right, take whatever number you have of stitches, subtract 16 stitches. Just subtract 16 stitches from your total number of stitches here in the center. Okay, put that on your little piece of paper. Now, if that number turns out to be a number that you can just simply divide in half, do that. If not, say maybe something happened. Maybe you got an extra stitch, or maybe it's off. Well, if you got an extra stitch, just leave that stitch in the center part. Let's put it this way. Don't worry about that stitch. Just make sure you have 2 equal numbers on this as we get ready to count in. Okay? So if you have an odd number, it'll just stay in the center. So for instance, you subtract your 16 stitches, which will represent the neck, and whatever you have left, you divide it in half. So if you had 20 left, I should have done the math on that, but just say if you had 20 left, so that means you'll have 10 stitches over here and 10 stitches over here, or whatever your number. So you're going to count in from the marker. Let me go ahead and do my size. All right, for all the 1X, all the X sizes, you're going to subtract 18. Small, medium, large, you subtract 16 from this total number of stitches. All the X sizes, subtract 18. So my total number of stitches here was 48. I'm going to subtract 18 stitches. That will give me 30 stitches left. Mine came out so I can divide it by 2. Okay, if yours didn't come out divided by 2, just don't worry about it. Take that 1 stitch off and divide it by 2. That 1 stitch will wind up in the center neck. Maybe you dropped a stitch. Maybe you did something, Don't worry about it. It's too late now anyway. So when I divide my 30 stitches, that means I will have 15, 18 in the center. That's what my neck is going to be. And 15 over here. So now I'm going to take some markers, and I'm going to start from this marker, and I'm going to count over 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I put my mark there. Then I go over here and count from this mark. And I should have the same number. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 1 is 15. I put my mark right there on the 15. That's going to leave me 18. Let me just check it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I have 18 stitches for my center neck between these 2 little markers that I've put on here. I should have picked out something a little darker. But I have two little white markers. Can you see that? Okay. So now, on your little notepad, you do the math real quick. I'm just showing you how to do it so you'll know how to do it too. Sometimes you need to know how to do stuff. So, whatever the number is, small, medium, large, subtract 16 stitches and then divide the other stitches, or just take one out if it's the wrong number and make it even so that you can have you can divide and have two even sides here and here. All the X sizes you get 18. Mine was 48. I took 18 away. That leaves me 30 stitches. I divided 30 in half, so 15 here, 15 here. All right. Now, we're going to get ready to bind off the neck. We're going to get ready. Let's see if I can get my camera back and move everything back up. I kind of move the camera a little bit so I can get everything on here. Okay, that might be okay. Alright, so here we go. Just a simple, regular. Alright, we are on row 8. Remember? Always remember where you are on the lace. That's the main important thing. The lace calls the shots. Okay, so I do my border, yarn in front. On row 8, I need to purl these lace stitches. So I'm purling. I'll purl across. I'm just going to check my camera one more time. You can see what I'm doing. Okay. Hate to pull it too close and then it's just, you can't really see. Okay, so now I'll purl all my stitches. Take your time. Just like this. Make this really, there's that one cricket that's cricketing. I have the window down, people. Such is life. I'm telling you, every video. Oh, maybe I should play a little music during this section, this part. I might play a little music, just so I can't hear it. But I can hear them tonight with the window down. Okay, so I'm purling. Since it is row 8, I'm working across my lace stitches, and on row 8 I have to purl those stitches to get over to the center back. I don't want to drop any yarn overs, and I did, to be honest, I had to make a confession. I don't know, it's because I'm so tired and I'm really under the gun to get this video up. Man, I start making mistakes on my lace when I got to this area. All of this other, it just worked out beautiful. But when I got up here, I just got sidetracked. I couldn't concentrate. My mind, I do not know. Alright, so I'm up to my back, my center back marker. Alright, my yarn still goes in the back because I want to work in garter stitch now. Stockinette, knit on the front, purl on the back. We're done with that. So I'm going to slide I put my yarn in back, in the knit position. Now I'm going to knit over to my actual neck stitches. Can you see that? So we're working in garter stitch now. Knit every row as we come across the front. And you're going to have a much nicer front, a larger front border than because that's what I originally wanted, but I just, I was trying out my new size. And I kind of didn't get quite what I wanted. So I'm coming up to my actual neck stitches. Right here, I see the marker. These stitches between this white marker here for me and this marker I need to bind off. So here we go. I knit. Here's the stitches. I'm up to the marker, so now I knit a stitch, then I have to knit another stitch, then I reach back and bind off. Real loose. Keep it loose. Reach back and just bind off light. Knit the next stitch, reach back and bind off. Again. And we're going all the way across the neck. I like to kind of pull up on it, kind of stretch it out as I go to keep the stitches loose. And bind off. And bind off. knit the next stitch, and bind off. Stop and kind of stretch it out a little bit. Next stitch and bind off. Here we go. Next stitch and bind off. We're on row 8. Next stitch and bind off. I have to go all the way to this neck marker right there. Okay. Knit and bind off. Knit and reach back and bind off. Take a minute and kind of loosen it up a little bit and get some yarn. Ooh, I got kind of a tank. Oh, I got some yarn vomit here. All right, I got a little bit more. Let's go. All right. Knit and reach back and bind off. Knit, reach back and bind off. Stop a minute and kind of stretch it out. See if it looks nice. We are on the wrong side and we're binding off with a knit stitch. This is, I started doing this and it makes I just love the way the neckline looks. I don't mind it with that creepy, funny line on the front. It's on the back and it makes the front look so nice. So we are on row 8. Now look, I see the mark. So I believe this is my last stitch. I'm going to count this out. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Yes, this is my last stitch right here in the neck. So I knit that stitch. I reach back and bind off. But I still have a stitch that belongs to the neck right there. So I just go right on over here and use this stitch with the marker. I knit that stitch, reach back and bind off. Now I have bound off my neck stitches. It may not look like much right now, but we're going to take a couple of stitches out and I'll show you how we're going to do it. Now, alright, so now this is row 8 and we're on the other side, well, we'll say the lace side. So now I need to put my yarn back in front because we need to stay in pattern. And that's a purl. So I need to purl. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. I have to stay in garter stitch right here. I kept thinking, well, that looks funny. I'm sorry. That we've bound out the neck and then I continue in garter over to my marker. Oh, yes, it's late, people. It's about 12 o'clock. Oh, I've had a time getting things done this month. I don't know why. I guess just because it was hot. You know, and then you just, I didn't want to go out. Every time I went out, I almost got sick from the heat, even though I always take a water bottle with me. You know, I take water. So we bound out the neck, then I have to stay in garter. That means knit. The yarn is in back and I'm knitting over to this marker. Then I will purl the lace stitches. So every time I went out, I got sick. And then the other day I took my neighbor out. I just took her to the grocery store. All right, I'm up to the marker. So now I'm out of the center back. Now I need to bring my yarn in front. Slide the marker that represents where the lace. Now I will do my purl stitches. I will purl these stitches for row 8. And man, I almost got sick in the store. I don't know, I just, like I said, I had water with me. I don't know if I don't know. I have when I go out, since I sweat so bad, hot flashes and then just regular sweating because it's been so hot, I have a hard time keeping my electrolytes balanced. Because when you sweat, you're just sweating, a lot of your potassium and sodium, things that keep you balanced. And I think that's what happened because I feel like I want to just get sick or cramp. So I really struggle. And I try to drink things, I don't drink any of those Gatorade because they have too much sugar you know, that's what they give kids to, or athletes for their electric lights, but I can't drink those. Like I said, I had water and stuff, but water just can't replace the electric lights. It can hydrate you, but, you know, you got to have something else to replace the sodium and the potassium. Alright, so now I've come up to the little border marker, yarning back, because we knit those three stitches on every row. Oh, so, let's see what we have. I'm going to turn it around. We have just finished. Now, you know, watch what row you're on. We've just finished row 8. And now I'm going to turn the work and let's see, so you can see what you will have. Okay. Right there. Let's see if it's on camera good. Hold it up. You can see that I've bound off the neck. And over here, all of these stitches now are all these stitches are going to become the front, your front border. See, much wider than, this is what I planned in the first place, but I just miscalculated on mine. So mine is a little narrow. So I can take off these markers now. I can just take them off because I've already bound off the neck. Okay, so here's the lace. Here's your front. For this side, your front edge, here's the neck. We've bound off, see? And then here's the front edge here. Front border. And then here is the lace on this side. Now, what we need to do is to go back, move your little, I'm going to move my little marker up, and we need to go back to row 1. Now we're ready to work, since we've bound off the neck, now we'll have two fronts. We're going to get ready to go down each front. This is when you're going to take out your number 9 straight needles. Oh, I'm using the bamboo, whatever you're going to use, but make sure it's the same size as the needle we've been working the sweater in, number 9. So I've got my bamboo straight. I just have the short straights for this because it's not as long as some of the others. And we're going to start. I've moved my mark up, so now we finished row 8. We did all that work on row 8, so now we stay in pattern on the lace. I am on row 1. I'm going to work a little bit over so I can show you. So row 1, of course I have to knit my little border. And I won't put it on the screen because I'm going to try to go right through. Row 1 says knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. See, can I get, ooh, this yarn's kind of splitting. Slip, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Now knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, and then do a yarn over. Alright, now go back up to the front, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, then reach back and knit those 2 stitches. Alright, now knit 1 stitch right there, knit 2 stitches together, and then yarn over. Hold that yarn over in place now, yarn over right there. Alright, let's do the repeat again. Knit, this is row 1, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Alright, then knit 1 stitch, knit 2 stitches together. Now yarn over. Alright, I'm up to my last repeat, so I'm going to knit 1. Do 1 yarn over, right there, hold it. Now slip, slip, and I knit those 2 together, knit 1 stitch. Then I have 2 stitches to knit together right here. Then there is a yarn over, and I end the row with a knit 1. So there's the lace on row 1. I slide the marker because this becomes my front border or front edge, all these stitches. So I stay in, no more stockinette. We will do knit every row. we're just going to work in garter stitch on these front edges or these borders. So I knit over on my single needle so I can get this circular needle freed up. And then each one of my fronts will be on these single needles. So I knit over because I'm going to knit this front edge. I'm going to knit every row. I'm going to knit up to the last 2 stitches. I'm going to knit up to the last 2 stitches. And here we go, right here. The last 2 stitches before the neck. There's the bound off neck, and here's the last 2 stitches on my needle. I'm going to knit those 2 stitches together. This gives beautiful curve to the neck and gives you one more stitch, a little more space in the neck, and you'll see how nice it looks. So I knit those last 2 stitches together just like that. Now look, this circular needle, I can put it over here out of the way. You can put your little, I can put one of my little rubbery things, like the kids use that I cut in half. I can put that until I come back. I'll show you how to connect on that side. But now, look, this side is ready to work. So I turn the work. When I turn the work, I am on row 2. But now this neck edge stays. Kind of awkward working. Look like I'm, can you see that on camera? Okay, I just pick up my other needle and I just knit. I knit these stitches on every row. And then when I get to the lace stitches, of course, on the wrong side, this is row 2, the wrong side, I will purl those stitches. So this is how it's going to look. Just like this. And I knit those front edge stitches. Now, I see I'm up to the lace section, which I am on row 2. So my yarn will come in front. I will slide the marker and I will start, and I will purl across the lace row. And then when I turn the work, of course, I'll be back on the front side, ready to work row 3. Back and forth, turning, working the, we will come back shortly and I'm going to show you how to connect on the other side. I always like to show, especially our new knitters, sometimes they forget how to connect. So I'm just going to work a few rows just so I'll have it, and then I'll come back and show you how to connect. Now you're working on this side, and now you're coming over. Here is the neck, the shoulder, the front edge border, and the lace. Okay. All right. Be back shortly. Keep working. All right, so I'm checking back in with you to let you see that I've worked a little bit, and I want you to look at what I have and see if it's what you have. All right, so when I left you, we had to start working one side of this sweater. And you can see how we had a lot more stitches for the front edge. This is what I was going for, but some kind of way I got off. But on this one, I have this nice front edge, really wide border that's going to look really pretty. All right, so now I just continue to work down rows 1 through 8, 1 through 8, 1 through 8, and then knit. This is a border, the 3 stitches, and this is a border. Knit these stitches every row. All right, so now I want to show you, especially for, people that are not sure, how to connect on this side. So, like I do, I'll work down so far, maybe halfway down the front, halfway down the front of the sweater, and then I will put a cap on my stitches, and then this is when you're going to need your second set. Remember, if you just go ahead and get 2 sets, then you don't have to wait till you're done with that one. Here's my second set of number 9 straight needles. All right. I'm sitting under the window, so I think I'll be okay. I've got the window up today. It's very nice and overcast and not so humid. So I want to show you how to connect. So now, all right, you say, okay, Jay, I'm going to work down a little bit. Now I need to come up and help me to remember how to connect for this side so I can work this front of the sweater. Now let me make sure I'm on the camera that you can see what I'm doing. I might pull it up a little bit, see if I'm in the camera frame. Okay, now just as easy as we did the other side, we're going to do this side. In fact, I'll just roll this a little bit, and you'll have just another skein or another ball of yarn that you rolled off. I have my new set of number 9 straight, because this one still has the circular needle on it. Remember, we left this one with the circular needle. Alright, here we go. Do you remember when we start working this neck, we started with knit 2 stitches together. It was on the front side, and as we knit across the last 2 stitches on this neck, I told you we'd add another stitch, and it gives a nice little soft curve. So when we got to the last 2 stitches, we knit 2 stitches together. Alright, so now on this side, you just have to remember that little. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my needle up under 2 stitches. See, I'm going to go ahead and stick the needle up under 2 stitches as I start to work to finish off the neck, work the neck and the front edge. And then I take me some yarn, a different skein, another ball, leave a tail. I just simply loop, just make a loop and just put it over the needle with the tail, and then I just knit. Pull that through, pull it tight. Now I go ahead and hold the tail and the working yarn for maybe a couple more stitches, because we're just knitting, remember? This is the garter. So I knit and I'll hold it for maybe one more stitch. So I have both strands right here, the tail and the working yarn. And I knit. Now I can drop the tail. It's secure, and I think that's good enough. Alright, now I will continue. Remember, we stopped at row 1, so always try. That's just a good practice when you're working things. If you can make it back to row 1, of course you're going to write it down on something or use a masking tape trick. Row 1. But it's just a good practice if you can, to try to stop your work on, so that when you're ready to start again, you are on row 1. And there's only 8 rows to this simple little, well, really 4 pattern rows. So it was easy for me to just stop on the last row, row 8. So when I came back, I am now starting row 1. I'm not confused. I'm not like spacey. So I knit over on my straight needles. Okay. And I can see that I'm ready to start. So I slide my marker, and now you take off again. You're working on the front side. Row 1 is knit 1, yarn over, slip, 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 knit. Knit 1, knit 2 stitches together. Okay, and then there's a yarn over on row 1 that you have to make sure you don't forget. So yarn over, now start again. Where the repeat is knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, knit 2 stitches together, and yarn over. Move, go to the next repeat, knit 1, or however many you have, knit 1, yarn over, slip, slip, knit, knit 1, now knit 2 stitches together, and then yarn over. Again, knit knit one, at least for me, knit one, yarn over, slip, slip, knit. Don't split the yarn, slip, slip, knit. Okay, knit one, knit 2 stitches together, yarn over and knit the last stitch, and of course I have my 3 border stitches on this edge, and I just simply knit. Now I have free circular needles to think of new projects or something new to cast on with. So I can lay those aside. Now I have, now let me show you this. This is row 1. We're working each front. Now the rows are going to go faster. In fact, you're going to feel so comfortable, you're just going to start flying through. But be very careful because you can get confused and start actually doing the pattern or the stitch on the wrong side. So this is row 1. So now when I turn the work, I'm on the wrong side of the fabric. And now I am ready for row 2 to purl. Because it starts to go so fast, like I say, you can make a little mistake. So I suggest at this point that you go ahead and put, you know how we do our contrasting yarn, just to remind you, this is the side. If you see this yarn, be sure to purl these stitches. Don't start right out. So I grab up my needle here. I knit the first 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3. Yarn in front in the purl position, slide the marker. Now because I can see that contrasting yarn, I'm not like, well, what row am I on? I'm on row 2. I'm on the purl side of this lace. The lace, it's all about the lace. Stay in pattern with your lace. And like I say, if you have to just quit or put it aside for a little bit, finish all the way through row 8 and be ready to work on row 1. And then mark that down somewhere, either by masking tape or on your black and white paper, so that you're not confused. So now see, I can just purl across all my lace stitches. Just like this. I got my crock pot on today. I have my crock pot on today. Okay, I'm up to my marker where my border. Yarn in back, because I know the border we're going to knit every row. Oh, I just got some Angus beef steaks from Sam's, and then I don't cut them small like cube steak, but I cut them like in strips. And then I put them in my crock pot. Because it's cool enough today. And besides, I'm trying to get this video out, people. If I have to go and stand in there and do on top of the stove cooking, this video was not going to get done. Jay's down to the wire. Oh, so now I'll just knit. Since I'm on a roll here, I'll just knit all of this. Now I got some kind of, so when you come to those double stitches, I was going to say, what did I do? Okay, don't forget, when we were holding the yarn and we connected, you'll see 2 strands, but you have to knit them as one because we were holding 2 strands. Look, I was about to forget myself. I thought, what did I do? That's those 2 strands that we held when we started the side. So let's just see what we have. I can lay that needle down now. I can turn the work to the right side. I can move my marker on my black and white. I just finished row 2, so the next row I will start as row 3. And I'm going to go ahead and get me, I don't want to take a chance on losing any stitches. So I can show you what we have. Okay, so now we are connected. We have a little tail left we can weave in. Sometimes there's a little pull, you know, sometimes that's just part of knitting. Sometimes you'll get this little pull right here. So at the end I can take that little tail and just make sure that there's no little gap or anything when I'm all done. You know, your finishing work, just like in sewing or anything else. Sometimes you have a little detail work that you just have to take care of. But if I left a nice little tail, it will work just fine. Now, I hope I wasn't all off camera talking. Okay, so now I'm about to start row 3 on this side, work it down. Now, let me tell you this. I want you to work down. Be sure to mark the side like I suggested, or you'll get to going fast, and then you'll, oh man, you know what? I did the pattern on the purl side. I was in such a hurry. A reminder to purl, not do the pattern. All right, now, I want you to work down, and I will see you as you get near the bottom. As you get near the bottom, I just want you to kind of slow down and then wait for me there. I have some information and something to show you how to make sure we finish the bottom nicely, and how to make sure you have a nice fit on this front, how to get a little more ease, especially if you're larger in the bust area. So, work to be done. Hey, enjoy the knit, people. It's a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to work too. If you are a little larger in the bust area, or you would just want to make sure that you have a little bust ease, this is what I want you to do. All right, first of all, you count down and see how many ridges from the very first one up here all the way down on one side, on the side that you're closest to, coming near the bottom. Okay, so I counted down to well, I can't remember that number, but I counted down and I measured it against the back, and they kind of fit each other, the front piece and the back. But now I want to give myself some ease. So what I did, once I get the front and the back the same, or if you feel like if you can measure correctly with a measuring tape, I went ahead and I went and worked rows 1 through 8 one more time. This is the little tip that I'm giving you to get the front to give you more of a bust of more stitches and more width in the bust, so you have bust ease. So if you're a little larger, you got the front and the back. They're pretty much the same. They're kind of equal. You lay it down flat, and you lay the front with the back and go, okay, they're about the same length. I think they're good. Okay, but go ahead and go one more time, rows 1 through 8 one more time through each row. If you are even a little larger in the bust, go twice. You go 1 through 8 and then 1 through 8 again. And you'll be surprised. You're going, well, Jay, then the front's going to be longer than the back. Yes, because that's the ease. But look, when you start to sew the front and the back, it doesn't matter, because you still put these two edges together. You put these two edges, each edge together, and then we're going to sew like you normally sew, back and forth across the seam all the way up to wherever, this is my arm, I hadn't tied it off yet, to up to where your arm. And what that does, it raises the front, yes, is now equal at the bottom with the back, but when you get up here, you're going to have some ease as you come over the shoulder and in your bust line. I'm telling you, it works. So for me, you know, I'm large, but I'm not, you know. So I went one time extra. I just did 1 through 8 one time. But if you're much larger, or, you know, so really full, then go twice. And I'm telling you, once you sew it up at the side, and you have to start at the bottom, matching the two edges up, just like, see how nice that looks? You sew that up, and you will have ease in your bust, in your arms, in your shoulders, and at your neck. Your neck won't be pulling and looking all wonky. What do you think of that? Think you'll give that a try? Now, if you're a small size and you're small in the bust, you just work yours the same as the back. You try to get the front and the back. And like I said, and the reason I have you to count these ridges, once you finish that and you work that, you know, the extra pattern repeats, depending on whether you work 1 or 2. But if you count the ridges, then when you get over here to this edge, and maybe you've worked down so far already and you want to continue to work and continue to work, you already know how many ridges you have over here until we get to the very bottom. We haven't got to the end ridges. This is just where you're going to stop the pattern, and that's what we're going to go to next. But once you stop the pattern, once you've done the pattern and you go, okay, I'm on row 8, I've just finished the pattern. All right, then you count those ridges to see if they're the same, see if you come out with the same number of ridges. Easy count. Better than even using a measuring tape, because they should be the same. Same rows, same needle. You come on down. I think I had about 57, 58. I think when I got to the bottom I had around 57, because then I was at row 8, and you want to, of course, finish row 8, which is a purl row, and then stop. And then once everything is equal and you got how, you know, everything is just like you want it, this is when too you can take pins and just pin the sides together. A lot of times I'll just go ahead starting at the bottom. I always start at the bottom, pin the sides, maybe put 3 or 4 large safety pins up this side and three or 4 large safety pins up this seam. Now you can try your vest on. You can try it on and see. Even if you want to do it even before you do the ease. But small sizes you want, large, medium, and small, medium, and large, you probably won't need the ease. But any of the X sizes, you may find that you need a little bust ease as you come over the shoulders. But if you pin it and try it on, you'll see. All right, so now the next thing, I hope that's a good tip for you. If I hadn't said it before, but that's usually how I do a lot of I get in some good bust ease when I'm doing this, up the back and down the fronts. All right, so now, okay, Jay, okay, I've got that. I'm going to do that, all right? And then when you, I'm going to reset the camera because I need to be closer. Now you're at the bottom on row 8. We need to stop all the lace. We are done, and we want to put the finishing rows on our sweater to match whatever you started here on the back. So let me adjust the camera, and we'll take care of that too. I think you'll enjoy making sure that you have a little bust ease. All right, back in just a minute. All right, last but not least. All right, so now you did some pinning, you did some measuring, but you still have to finish the bottom edge of each front. The bottom edge of each front, and I thought I'd do it on a little small swatch and then try to make it as simple as possible. So this is how you do the last, you've finished that front. Now you need to, we're stopping the lace. The lace stops at row 8. Once you purl row 8, you still have to stay in the pattern. You just follow the pattern. You're on row 8. You do all that you're supposed to do and purl across the lace and then knit the borders. Now I am done. Row 8 is done. That means the lace and all the pattern is done. Now I need to put in my little border that we started with. So you look at what your sweater, you had a choice when we started the sweater, back here on the back edge. You could knit 4 rows. You could knit 4 rows, or you could knit 6 rows. Does that make sense? That's how you started it. Some people like the little wider border. So, all right, so now all we have to do is just repeat that. I finished row 8. Now we're not going to count rows. You're going to count how many ridges. This is the easiest way, and you won't forget it, and you don't have to try to sit there and like, oh, now I'm getting kind of confused. I don't know what row I'm on. No, I have 3 ridges, counting the very first ridge, that very first little bottom edge right there. That's 1, then 2, then 3. I have 3 ridges. So when I finish the front, I want to have 1, counting that bottom edge, 2, I want to have 3 ridges here, 2. So when I sew them together, they'll come together and make a nice invisible seam like that. Alright, so like I said, either you did 6, but you're counting, don't worry about the rows, just count the ridges. I need 3 ridges. So all I'm going to do is, after I finish row 8, now I'm on the front of the fabric again. This is the front side, the purl was on the wrong side, and I'm just going to just start knitting. I'm just going to knit. Just knit every row. In fact, you can drop your little markers now. And you're going to knit every row. So I won't waste time doing this on camera. Alright, I'm going to knit every row till I have 1 ridge, 2 ridges, and then I'll be back after I have 3 ridges. Or I'm on the, I'll just let me knit a few rows and I'll come back. So we make sure we're in the same place. Alright, so I've been knitting, just knitting every row. And as you can see, let me just lay it down just for a second. Don't try to count the rows. When we start the project and we have to know how many rows to knit, that's why we'll say knit 4 rows or knit 6 rows. But when you're ending the project, trust me, it's better to just, and you have this type of border where it's all garter stitch, knit every row, it's better to just say how many ridges do I need to end this project. Counting, remember, counting the very first, 1, 2, 3. I need 3 ridges. I've knit, and you can see I have 2 ridges, 1, 2. Alright, so I'm just going to keep on knitting. I don't know how many rows. Just keep knitting till I'm ready to start the 3rd ridge. Or for you who did 6, who started with 6 rows, however many ridges you have on that back border. Not rows when we're finishing. I'm telling you, if you learn this little trick, this little tip, you won't ever be like, oh gosh, I don't know how many rows I'm supposed to do. Oh, I'm so confused. No. Count the ridges. So now you can see I have 2 ridges here, the bottom edge. I did row 8. I did what I need to do. Then ridges start. I just kept knitting. Now I have 1 ridge, 2 ridge. I'm going to turn the work, and I'm going to knit this row, and that will give me a 3rd ridge. But this is the row that I want to bind off on. You want to bind off on the last ridge row. You should be on the wrong side of the fabric. It should come out to be on the wrong side of the fabric. Not counting rows, but just counting ridges. So let's start and let's see how it looks. So here I go. I knit the first 2 stitches because this is the row that I want to bind off, plus give myself a ridge on the front. I knit 2 stitches, I reach back, and I bind off. I pull that stitch over the first one. Knit another stitch, bind off, reach back, and bind off. And you will come out perfect every time, and you don't have to remember what row and get confused. And I'm not sure. Just count the ridges. Now watch. Let me just do a few more so we can see. And then stop, and I stop every once in a while and just give my little bind off just a little tug, just to keep it keep it loose. And try to do it loose. I am on the wrong side. I am knitting using the knit stitch to bind off. So I'm not only binding off, but I'm adding the 3rd ridge for my front edge border, the end border, to match what I did in the back. So when I sew them together, they'll match. But I didn't do any counting or any math. Now I'm going to stop here, just so that you can see. I'm so close to the end. Hey, let's just see let's see if I can make it all the way across. I just have a few little stitches here. See, I do my best because Like I say, I'm just like you. You know, I don't want to have to look in a book every time I need an answer. I want something that I'm used to, something that I do over and over. Every time I do this, this is how I did it. So I would remember. I just walk myself through it. And if I needed to write it down, you know, a lot of times, yes, I write it down on my black and white just to kind of, but once it got in my head, because I would do the same steps over and over, just like I'm sharing with you how I made my sweaters. You know, because like I said, I wasn't privileged to go to a yarn shop or have someone, and we didn't have no computers and YouTube back in the day, in the dark ages. We didn't have computers back in the dark ages. The 70s, 80s, and 90s or whatever. Okay, so I got to the end. I just want to see, just so you can see how it looks. So I can put up a loop. Okay, now look. Ta-da! I didn't count. I didn't do any math. I didn't figure anything. I counted the ridges only on the back of my sweater. I had 3. So I just kept knitting. Once I finished row 8, once you actually finish the pattern, and it ended on a purl row, then I just started from that row on, knitting back and forth. I ain't count nothing. I'm just knitting back and forth. But as I see a ridge form, I count the 1. Of course, you're coming down this way, so 1, 2, and I know I need 3, so when I see that I'm ready to make the 3rd ridge, that's on the wrong side. That's the ridge you bind off on using the knit stitch, not the purl stitch. And then you have this nice, really soft edge and that ugly little line, that ugly little funny stitch. Instead of, like a lot of knitters will put it on the front, they'll bind off on the right side. Well, this is what you get. You get that funny, it's just a funny looking edge. But now look at our edge, just like when we started. Just a little tip from Jay, like I say. You know, I ain't no big wig or nothing. But, like I said, I had to teach myself over and over. And I tried to teach myself as simple as possible so I would remember it. And so that I would enjoy the journey of knitting and designing my simple little style, my simple little sweaters. So, now, all you have to do is finish that off, weave in the ends. Now, the last thing I do after everything is done, you know how, then I go back and finish up my arm. I always like to save my arms, you know, and of course I always have remember the marks. Always have that before you sew up anything. You don't want to sew wrong sides to wrong sides. This you simply put right sides together down here at the bottom. Make it as even as possible. And you do your little stitch back and forth. We've sewn up. You know how to sew up crochet. Or everybody has their own style. But I would leave the arm space to the very end. Now, see, I've tried mine on one more time to see if I can get them the same. Or you can try counting the little ridges to see how many that goes around your arm. Maybe you can do that. So you can say, well, okay, well, I'll just count. You know, that's fine. You get one just right, you can count the other. But sometimes your arms are a little off. You know what I'm saying, your bust line and things. So all I have to do is do that, and voila. Whew, this was a ride. It was hot. Wasn't much air flowing. But this is a beautiful sweater, I'm telling you. You will want to knit this just like I did, over and over in different colors. On the one that I'm doing in real time, this is wider. You have a wider front, which is what I wanted. I wanted this to be wider, so I took out some of the lace so that it wouldn't wear you out and wear you down and get you discouraged. And but it's still just as pretty. Whew! We made it. This was July's tutorial, but as you can see, I'm having to present it and share it with you in the month of August. I didn't like that picture. I didn't care too much for that picture, that calendar. picture for July. It was just not pretty at all. I don't mean it in a negative, ugly way. It didn't inspire me. Let's put it that way. Maybe I'll take it back. The colors, the flower, it just wasn't, I was off. So, this is August, so now I'm presenting this in August. But it doesn't matter. It's the end of the summer, and this is a beautiful, pretty little lace. Honeysuckle and lace. That's what it reminds me of. Have you ever smelled honeysuckle? Oh, it smells so good. So, I hope you give this a try. And of course, send me some pictures. I've been working. I have so many pictures for my next friendship album. So I've pretty much got it laid out. And got some pretty music. I've been listening to different music. So that should be coming up. I'll have that before the end of the month of August. So I can't think of anything else except to just wish you happy knitting. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Whew, one more time. Just for my friends. Whew, see you soon. Bye. Take care.